Today we're going to learn how to draw a full portrait using charcoal. So the first thing you need is a really good reference image because your drawing will only be as good as your image. You want to find an image with a really interesting expression and a wide range of value. You want to avoid anything that's flat or washed out or doesn't have a lot of contrast. Once you have your reference image, you're going to crop it so that it fills the frame. You don't want a tiny little face in the middle of your page. Next, we're going to scale our image using an X grid to help us get our proportions. So you can either take your own image, or if you need more, you can find these images and complete slideshow, rubric, and whole lesson linked below. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw an X grid to help us get our proportions. We're drawing a line from corner to corner and then vertically and horizontally down the center. We are going to map out the proportions and the placement of all the larger shapes in our image. We want to be super careful not to dive into the details and just make sure that our larger shapes are where they belong. So don't worry about the way things curve, just kind of bounce around your drawing. Don't let yourself get caught up in any one area, and keep your pencil lines super light and super gentle. Next, we're going to move on to some shading. So here you can see we have a charcoal pencil. This is a harder charcoal to get some of the basic shapes in first. So same thing here, we are not creating outlines, we're using large shapes of value to define the edges. So once you have your basic shapes in and you've put some charcoal down, the next step is blending. So you can use a blending stump to blend out some of your charcoal and see how it comes out a little bit darker when you do some blending. So in the beginning, you want to be very cautious about how much charcoal you are putting down. You can always use your eraser to pick up any extra if you feel like you went a little too dark. And you're going to build up those values in layers. So notice the first layer looks a little bit sketchy, and that's okay. When you add more charcoal and more blending, it's a layering process, and the softness of the edges and the values will really start coming together. So don't get discouraged if in the very beginning your drawing doesn't look absolutely perfect. That is part of the process. And it just kind of takes a little bit of getting used to. So charcoal is a medium that, like, when you have to put it down and then do a little bit of blending, put it down, do a little bit of blending, and build up those layers. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get those big shadows on the face, like the overall value. Then you're going to look at things like the hair, but you want to look at the hair not as each strand of hair. You want to look at the big shapes, the big shadows. So see how on that left side we blended out that darker shadow to make the hair more of a shape, and you don't see each little strand. A lot of beginning artists will kind of think that I know what hair looks like, I know that I have strands, and try to draw each one. But when you really look closely at the reference photo, you see that you really see larger shapes of value. So now we are bouncing around the drawing. We're doing a little bit of the shirt. Notice there's not one area that's overly detailed. We're moving throughout the drawing, and you see we're also using the cell phone image to kind of zoom in to see more detail. You can use a digital image if you would like, or you can use a printed reference photo. So now we're moving on to the background. So the background, you really just need a little bit of like soft blending. You don't have to get a perfect background for this. And the details kind of come absolutely last at the end. At the end, you want to really look and compare your values to each other and just get those final details. And that's it. Enjoy the process.